Just moments ago, the House voted against the NDP's motion to expand mental health services for soldiers and veterans and reopen those 8 Veterans Affairs offices closed on Friday. 146 to 17 was the vote, the majority of MPs casting their ballot against the NDP motion. Remember, the government shut down 8 Veteran Affairs offices on Friday. There were protests from some vets. Joining me now, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Trade, Erin OToole, is here. The NDP Veteran Affairs critic, Peter Stauffer, and the Liberal National Defence critic, Joyce Murray, is here. Mr. O'Toole, why did your members not support the motion?
Well, certainly, Evan, we talked a lot about this last week. It's been our plan since hearing from the veterans last October, Mr. Clark and some of the others that came at the first PSAC event, to make sure that when those offices that were being underutilized closed, the Service Canada office, sometimes in the same building or nearby, had a trained Veterans Affairs caseworker in them. And that happened today. I got a report this morning that those 8 offices had not just that trained caseworker, but a separate desk service area, kiosk. So really, in many ways, it became an office within an office. They were there today to serve veterans much in the same way that they had been before. And this is part of not only evolving delivery of service, allowing more people to access it, over 600 points of service, if you want that in-person type of service, but increasingly also recognizing that veterans are accessing services online, through the phone, through the Legion. There's a number of ways we're serving, and we're going to make sure we serve them better and smarter.
All right. What do you tell veterans? I mean, every day I listen to the government defend this. You know, you're getting better service. These closures shouldn't have a big effect. But, you know, when I talk to these veterans, many of them, they say it's a big deal. What do you tell them? Are they missing the point?
Well, I think, Evan, you know, when I met with them back last October, their concern with the move to Service Canada, and they expressed it clearly, was that there wouldn't be somebody in the Service Canada office that knew about the programs or knew about how to deal with veterans. We listened in October of last year. The change was made before this year and implemented as of today. So it's actually a case where the minister heard that concern and changed it. So in some cases, one of these experienced VAC caseworkers will be located in the same building. In 5 of these locations, they'll be in the same building to provide that level of service. But as I said, veterans are not a monolithic group. They've been accessing services in a variety of ways. And this change and the move to starting Service Canada to offer these services actually allows far more veterans across the country closer access.
Mr. Stauffer, the motion didn't pass. You've heard why the Conservatives voted against it. What's your view?
Well, first of all, they were whipped against it, which is no surprise. I mean, I wasn't surprised that they would vote against it. I mean, the reality is we thought that it was a very good motion for everyone to support, but unfortunately it wasn't. But the reality is, when you hear these so-called 600 points of service, we've already gotten information today that says the vast majority of training in these so-called 600 offices across the country were 3 to 4 hour online training on how to access the forms for Veterans Affairs. Now, many Service Canada people I've already spoken to said very clearly they already had that information. They could have easily given the forms anyway. But the reality is, most of them will not be able to help the veteran fill out those forms. They'll just be able to give it to them. And if they can't, then there's a 1-800 number or a computer that they'll be able to use. The fact is that closing these offices, unfortunately, has taken away that one-on-one personal touch that they had in the past from experienced people. And although there may be one in the 8 offices across the country and the other one in Prince George possibly, the fact is what they're saying is that one person will do the job of 15, and that just simply will be unacceptable.
Joyce Murray, your thoughts on the result of this motion?
Well, the Liberals voted for this motion, and Evan, I'm really stunned at why the Conservatives continue to want to argue with the veterans. I mean, for virtually pennies a month to the Canadian public, the government could actually be doing what they should be doing, which is saying that we respect you and we're listening to you and we're going to provide you the best possible service. Like, why don't they just climb down? Why are they stubbornly refusing to acknowledge their error and correct it?
All right, listen, I wanted to get your quick thoughts. We took this vote live. We've had this debate a lot on veterans. It's going to obviously continue. Erin OToole, Peter Stauffer, and Joyce Murray. I want to get back to the results of the other story we're following, but I very much appreciate you having the vote and coming right out to talk to us here on Power and Politics. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Thanks.